Hey everyone, it's Kim here and it is Vlogtober, and today I thought it would be fun if we went through all of my postcard designs and I gave you guys like a little tour and I can talk about the designs and what inspired them. So let's get into nerd related stuff. So I started a self-propelled project while I was at uni where I was reimagining what I thought the look of the Potter series felt like to me. So I re-listened to all of the audiobooks, and I have this thing with fan art where I don't want to make fan art that's similar to what's already out there. So for example, I never copy anything from Warner Brothers. I don't copy their style of the logo, like the movies. I don't copy the style of the logo or the typography or like stills from the movies, or even I don't even draw really from the actual characters. I try and distance myself from that and just imagine what it would be like if I was creating it for the first time. So I think that's why my Potter stuff is popular, because it's not the same old stuff you see everywhere. Like, I don't understand how people can just take screenshots of the movie and put them onto like badges and stuff. It's like, that's not, you didn't make that. I don't know where to start, there's so many. So I drew about 80 different designs originally, and they were all just ink on paper in a circular format, and that's what I made the badges out of. And then I started playing around with them. People really liked them, so I drew them onto tote bags and that kind of stuff, and then I added some color and put them onto postcards. So yeah, let's start with this one. So this is what they kind of look like originally. So this is ink on paper. This is obviously been taken into Photoshop, and I've added a different color background. This is white, but I've purposefully left the little, what do you call them? The little landlocked bits, if you will. I purposefully left them the original colors because I really liked the way that it looked, and I thought it was like quirky. And so during this series I tried to keep that kind of theme going. So anyway, so this is Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs, and this is how I imagine that they probably wrote their signature on the map when they were kids. So not super professional, but still fun, and one of them probably had good handwriting and wrote this. And the reason why I love this series so much is because I do it with a brush and ink. You get these really lovely bits like here where you get like the light bit of ink, and then I've obviously dipped in it again and like gone over that, and you get a darker bit. And I just think that's really, because obviously they use quills and ink and stuff in Hogwarts. So anyway, so this is my Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs, which are the Marauders, which if you don't know, I won't spoil it for you, but I love that. And let's see, so some of them I doubled up. Like this one here was originally 2 different designs. So this is how I imagine the Weasley twins. Like cheeky, not particularly handsome, but with a very sort of charismatic feel to them. So I imagine that might be like an illustration that they hired someone to do to make like the logos for their robes when they had their shop. Like that's the kind of thing I was thinking of. What can I invent that we haven't seen before? And then this is obviously, it just says Weasley's Wizard Wheezes, and it's the type of typography that if I was designing their logo in the story, that's how I probably would do it. So that's kind of where I'm coming from with these. So that's really fun. This one here is actually a new addition because it's MACUSA, which is the Magical Congress of the United States of America, which is part of the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them series. So this was like when we just had the trailer to go off of, the Pottermore stuff that J.K. Rowling wrote about it. So this was before the film even came out, and I was like, well, what is a logo gonna kind of look like? Very simple, kind of rushed doing this one, but I really like it. I would probably go back and do this maybe a little more fancy, I don't know, but maybe that's just me seeing the film influencing it, I don't know. And then if you don't know, this is also a new one. I seem to have a lot of new ones at the front. There is a musical, a Harry Potter fan-made musical on YouTube called A Very Potter Musical, and it's done by Star Kids, and the Harry Potter in it is Darren Criss, who you may know of Glee fame. It's a fantabulous, fabulous musical, but they filmed it when they were like in high school, so the first one is like really badly filmed and the audio is terrible, but the jokes and the actual play is amazing. And one of the things is, it's gonna be totally awesome. So I love this. I love this so much, and I kind of wish I could just like have a t-shirt of it, but you know, I don't want to. Star Kid, if you want to pay me to draw your merch, let me know. We've got this one here, Weasley is our king, which is something they totally missed out in the films. It was one of my favorite sort of character developments for Ron. He obviously joins the Quidditch team and he's really terrible, and the Slytherins start making fun of him and sing this song, and then he finally like comes into his own and has confidence, and he saves some goals, and then all the Gryffindors start singing Weasley is our king. And this is the kind of thing I imagine they made badges and wore them as like a, you know, fuck you to all the Slytherins. But I really, really like this. The color to me is really, really good as well. So we've got that one, and then we've also got our little Hufflepuff here, our little badger on a sort of bright yellow. He's very dapper looking. Little sketch, again, ink on paper. This is a slightly more detailed one. These disappear really, really fast. Ooh, we've got our little package carrying owl here, which is really nice. This I imagine was Hedwig. Really pretty. Ah, this is a new one that I really love. The Noble and Most Ancient House of Black. I have a lot of love for the Black family. A lot of, well, I don't know if love is the right word because they weren't very good people, but I love the relationships between the three Black sisters, which we don't really get to see a lot of in the books or the movies or anything. But Narcissa, who's Draco Malfoy's mom, and Bellatrix, who is, you know, Bellatrix Lestrange, and then their middle sister Andromeda, who is Tonks's mom, and they were all sisters. And I love to imagine them at school. So this is kind of a little homage to that, and they probably had lots of amazing tapestries. Well, we know they had a big tapestry of their family tree and everything, but I kind of imagine that they probably had this crest somewhere in their house. Another thing they missed out of the movies, Spew. And actually it's not Spew, it's SPEW, which is the Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare. And Hermione started this little project and roped Ron and Harry into it as well. And so they started it in their 4th year. Well, Hermione started it in her 4th year. And she basically wanted house elves to have rights just like everybody else. And the house elves were kind of like, we kind of like being in servitude actually, Hermione. But yes, miss. And so she knitted hats and all that kind of stuff. So I love this one. It's a Spew badge, and she made like Ron and Harry wear them, but I don't think they did. But anyway, I really like this. I would have supported that if I was at Hogwarts at that time. This one of my favorite characters, Hagrid, who is just like the only dude in the Potter series that isn't a total butt. So this is how I imagine Hagrid to look. You know, kind of grizzled, but with those kind eyes. Like, he's seen a lot. And then, of course, his catchphrase, I shouldn't have said that, which I love. So that's our little Hagrid card. I solemnly swear I am up to no good, which, depending on who you talk to, is either a Marauders quote or a Weasley twin quote, a Fred and George quote. I love this so much, and I often wonder about the map. I wonder if this was the only phrase that would, you know, reveal itself to you, or if you just had to say that you were gonna cause trouble, or you were, you know, something like that. I wonder what the Marauders said originally. I wonder if this was the saying that the Weasley twins just made up to make the map work, or if this was the actual thing that James and Sirius and Remus and Peter came up with to make the map work. I wonder about that, and I wonder if there's an answer out there, but I don't know. But people who don't even like Harry Potter, they don't even know about it, they love this because it's a bit cheeky. And I do too. Following on the Spew Society for the Promotion of Elfish Welfare. This is Hats for House Elves, which I sort of imagine being a poster or something that Hermione made to put up on the Gryffindor bulletin board and was promptly torn down. But I really, really like this, and I love the idea of Ginny and Hermione sitting in the Gryffindor common room knitting and sharing patterns and talking about, you know, just debating about whether this was a good idea or not. But I really like that. And of course, you can't go wrong with like a bit of peach color. What else have we got? Oh, here's another owl delivering your Hogwarts letter. An eagle for Ravenclaw. And yes, all you haters out there who think that Ravenclaw is blue and silver, it's not. It's blue and bronze. And the animal crest is an eagle, not a raven. A dark mark with the perfect shade of green, if I do say so myself. This is how I imagine the dark mark to look like. Obviously in the movies it's a lot different, but when I was reading the book, it said that the snake was like coming out of its eye socket and like twirling around, and that's just how I imagined it, as sort of this moving, alive sort of thing, and I imagine it just going round and round and round and almost getting tied up in knots. This one is super fun. You know Pooh, which let's see if I can remember the quote. It's why are you worrying about you know who? You should be worrying about you know Pooh, the constipation sensation that's gripping the nation. That's from Weasley's Wizard Wease's shop. It was a poster up during the sixth book, and it's got to be like bright pink because it had to match all the ministry posters, right? This is how I would have drawn the logo. Excuse me, motorcycles out there. This is how I would have drawn the logo for Flourish and Blots if I was in charge of maybe making a tote bag for them or something. I just love all the spines of the books, and the book actually says a Book of Spells grade 7 on it in kind of like a scribbly writing, but there you go. Muggle Born and Proud, of course, which is inspired by when Hermione in the 7th or 8th movie, whatever, when she gets branded by Bellatrix and she's talking to Griphook and she's like, nobody's hunted more than me, and I'm a Muggle born, but I'm proud to be so. And I really love that. That's, of course, we gotta, you know, wrap the boy who lived, little lightning bolt and all that jazz. I imagine his lightning bolt scar was very thin and sort of scraggly, almost like it was scraped into him. Obviously it was done by magic, but that's kind of how I imagine it. And just all the splotches and stuff, because it was a messy, sad time for him, that moment where he lived and Voldemort was ruined. We've also got, because you know I'm a Marauders girl, we've got Prongs in his Animagus form, in his stag. So this is, spoiler alert, this is, if you haven't read the 3rd book, this is Harry's dad in his Animagus form as a stag. So many feels. Okay, this one I get a lot of comments on, and it's probably one of the ones that I'm most proudest of. This is Kingsley for Minister. Now, after Voldemort fell for the final time in the 7th book, there's talk about Kingsley stepping up and sort of taking charge, and there was talk about, in the newspaper, people putting his name forward, and Lee Jordan on his little radio talk show during the war said, you know, if you ever run for minister, you got my vote. And I imagine that he had pin badges or posters or whatever, and this is my little interpretation of what it would look like. And of course it's purple because I don't know why, but I always imagine Kingsley in like purple robes. I don't know, to me purple just fits Kingsley so well. This like regal, calming purple, you know, because this is his voice. Anyway, so I love this one, and I feel like, you know, everyone after the war probably had these like Kingsley for Minister badges. So anyway, that's that. We've got another Marauders guy. We've got Sirius Black. Quirky, you know, a little bit like punk rock with like all the X's and stuff. It's like a bold font, and also like his name is from the stars, so he's got the little, you know, stars in his name. Very simple, but just to show your love for the man, Sirius Black. Who else have we got in here? We are nearly done. We've got support Snape, which I know some people will be Team James and some people will be Team Snape, but I have a friend who loves Snape, and I actually drew this for her. So whatever team you're on, you can understand that Snape made a lot of sacrifices, whether you agree with his, you know, he wasn't the nicest person ever, not just to Harry, but to everyone. But he did have some redeeming qualities. We've also got, oh, okay, so this is kind of like my Flourish and Blots one. This is how I imagine the logo of Ollivanders is. So makers of fine wands. The typography is also obviously similar throughout all of these, but I try and pick something that's going to be appropriate. So like Flourish and Blots, excuse me, so Flourish and Blots was like a lot curlier, and this one has got it's a little more rigid, and it's, what am I talking about? You know what I mean. It's got serifs on it, and it's more, I don't know, I just imagine it being like this. My brain is like, how long have I been talking now? Quite a while. Okay, this one I get a lot of shit for because people see it and they're like, you can't do that to me. I know it's emotional, guys. I know that Dobby was an incredible character and that he died and it was unfair. But you know what? He gave up his life for a really good cause, and this is to remember him and to never forget what he did. So this is how I imagine that Harry scraped, you know, carved in his headstone, his little rock on his gravestone. It's not perfect, and it gives me the feels. It gives me the feels. I hope I didn't make you cry. We've got the classic Hallows, which is pretty self-explanatory. You've got the Elder Wand, the Stone of Resurrection, and the Cloak of Invisibility. And I kind of imagine that this is how Xenophilius drew it, because, you know, he just like scrabbled together some paper and like drew it out really quickly. Again, it's drawn with a brush, ink, a brush and ink, an ink and brush. You know what I mean. Bella and Riddle's Secret Love. Now, this was one of the original designs that I made. Obviously, it's not canon that Bellatrix Lestrange and Voldy had a thing, but I think Bella probably scribbled this on her notebook when she was a kid, and it's very interesting. And if you've read The Cursed Child or you've seen the play, you'll know that there's a little bit of history here, which I didn't expect to become canon. But there's a lot of fan fiction about it, obviously, for Cursed Child. So that's my little, you know, my little Death Eater side. A little Wizarding Blood thing here. We've got Pure Blood, Half Blood, and Muggle-born. So whichever you are, whichever you support, you've got all three of them here. I really like it. It's just like a nice kind of thing saying that even though we're different, blood doesn't really matter. Like, we're all together on the same card here. Hogwarts one here, which has got a little drawing of this sort of how I imagine the castle to look like, and a little drawing of the Hogwarts crest here, how I imagine it. And it's nothing you've not seen before, but it's just my little take on it, basically. Some little Order of the Phoenix stuff here. This is Grimmauld Place, which is how I imagine the headquarters in the 5th book to look like. Obviously, Sirius's parents' house. And then we've got just the little logo here, which is how I would have drawn the logo if I was asked to draw the Order of the Phoenix logo. I'm a nerd, I'm sorry. Not sorry. And then this one here is Hallows versus Horcruxes, which is a big decision that Harry has to make in the 7th book. And I just like it immortalized together, that choice between which one is he going to choose. Is he going to go with his gut and what Dumbledore wanted, or is he going to go with Voldemort and what Hermione wants to chase? It's a big decision. I think that's all the Potter ones I've got at the moment. So let me share with you my little Critical Role fan art / D&D class fan art. So we've got Rogue. Now this, as you can see, is a totally different style to my Harry Potter ones. which are like this. Now I try and do that when I do a series. I try and choose something that's self-referential. So I actually drew a bunch of Dungeons and Dragons like original playbook covers and typography, and I was like playing around with it and just looking for some like old school style fonts, and then I redrew them and, you know, put my little twist on it. And so that's that. And then obviously the background here, it looks like it's been scribbled, because D&D is a tabletop game, and so I wanted that like pen and pencil reference there. So it's very sort of handmade looking, but then the little symbols here, which symbolize each class, are just like a flat white color that I actually did like a cutout thing on the computer. So we have that theme running throughout. I didn't just want to draw another set of, you know, ink on paper things, because that didn't make sense to me for Dungeons and Dragons. But here we go. So this is our rogue. It's a dark red color, obviously, because they have to like hide into the night. Obviously it would do black, but that would be super boring. And then we've got 2 daggers here with like a pointy thing. This is my little homage to Vax, the dagger rogue half elf from Critical Role. There you go. Our druid class here, which have some ferns, obviously because of the plants. And this is my little homage to Keyleth, the half-elf druid, who is played by Marisha Ray on Critical Role. Again, green, because plants. Here is my bard card, and there's a little lute and some medieval looking music notes up at the top. I love this, and it is like a fun orange color because bards are silly. And this is my homage to Scanlan, the bard. He's a little gnome bard, and he's ridiculous, and he's always breaking into song on Critical Role. So Vax's twin, Vex, is a ranger, and I wanted to do this in like a bluey color to match the feather that she has in her hair. It's come out looking slightly gray, but I still really like it, and it's got the arrows, obviously, because her main weapon is a ranged weapon, bow and arrow. So there you go, that's the ranger. Our favorite cleric, we've got Pike, whose god is Sarenway, whose thing is the sun. But I thought that these hands looked really good, like, you know, healing word, like all clerics can sort of like touch you and heal you for a little bit. And then this is obviously in like a nice creamy whitey yellow, like Pike's hair, and the little sun that her little holy symbol. I'm a cleric in one of my games, and I really, really love this. I'm a Goliath cleric, so it's not obviously the same, but I think it's pretty universal, the like healing sort of thing. Anyway, I like it. I like it. But I'm a nerd, you all knew that. This is my homage to Grog, the Goliath barbarian. There are 2 awesome axes here, whether you want to think of them as 2-handed axes or 2 one-handed axes, it's totally up to you, but I really like it. And obviously it is blood red because rage. I love this so much. Last but not least of our classes so far, we've got the gunslinger in this like gunmetal gray. This is my homage to Percy something DeRollo, and he has this really cool multi-barreled gun that has like the names of the people he wants vengeance on it, and so that was kind of inspired by that, which is why it's got like a huge big barrel. But if you're asking yourself, like, why are there gunslingers in a medieval fantasy roleplay? You just watch Critical Role and you'll understand. Percy is an inventor, and I think a gunslinger class is a really cool class to have in a fantasy roleplay. So there you go, that's that. And then we've got 3 cards that are D&D related but not class related. So this is I love my DM, please don't kill us card, which if you play Dungeons and Dragons, you probably need this, because at one point or another, your DM will probably want to kill you for some choices that you make. I think that's just par for the course. So this is my homage to Matthew Mercer, the best DM in the entire universe. Those guys are crazy. So that's my last like sort of Critical Role themed one. I have 2 little postcards here, which are my last D&D related ones. They are just a whole bunch of dice. Just a whole bunch of dice. And we've got like on a plum and on a sort of dark red burgundy color. So we've got a D20, a D12, a D10, D6, and a D4. Sorry, I'm like looking at this backwards, so it's a little bit hard to see. The D20 came out really nicely. So if you're a nerd and you play any games with dice, these are great. So those are my Critical Role Dungeons and Dragons fan art ones. So those are all the postcards I currently have in this giant box of illustration design. So like when I say that I'm an illustrator and people are like, yeah, but you run a knit shop, it's like, well, this is what I do. I draw stuff. I make stuff, little things. So most of these designs you can find on a pin badge as well. Some of them are on small pin badges, some of them are on big pin badges. Big pin badges tend to be better for things with text because you can actually read them better. But the little pin badges are super fun because you can like collect them all. We do a 5 small pin badges for £2 deal, and that's always really fun. So there's all my nerdy things, all the nerdy things. This was a lot longer than I thought it would be, but hopefully won't have to do much editing and this can go straight up for Vlogtober. Thank you for watching, guys, and if you have any requests Potter related, let me know. I've always got a list of things to do, and of course I want to do more tabletop related stuff. So I want to get loads more classes out, and I want to do some race cards so we can have like gnomes and Goliaths and humans and elves and orcs and all that good stuff. So I will see you later. Thanks for watching, guys. Mwah!